WXMI TV.
On motion. For inspired design, visit DesignQuest.
This is a Fox 17 winter weather alert.
Welcome back, 8:11, everybody, on a Friday morning. 10 days into the month of January. We haven't seen much yet, but we are tracking a system, a substantial one for overnight tonight and for the day on Saturday. It'll actually take us into the first hours of Sunday as well. Grand Rapids on the tower cam. We've got, reduced visibilities to some extent. This is just your typical low ceilings with a drizzle and mist that has been ongoing recently, causing it to be damp, but I can tell you what, not causing it to be slippery. Look at these temperatures running about 10 to 15 degrees, closer to 15 degrees above that 32-degree marker, and it'll be a while before we do drop back to 32 degrees. It'll be overnight tonight and probably even towards daybreak tomorrow morning locally in GR. We'll be earlier, though, for northern section, so if you do reside, say, in those counties adjacent to, well, when you get out of our viewing area, you'll be dealing with some freezing rain and sleet earlier, and then ultimately some snow there as well. Look at the Arctic air, though. Minot, North Dakota, Grand Forks, International Falls, the below zero for those folks. We are not going to be tapping that type of an air mass. And actually, what's interesting, even though I haven't talked about it much this morning because we've been focused on this incoming storm, is that even once the storm goes by, the long-range forecast does not show any major Arctic outbreaks. Kind of interesting as we continue to move through this first month of the new year. South winds about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Those are going to be weakening further, kind of going light and variable by early afternoon. Then we're moving to the east and northeast by late day into tonight. Temperatures looking at 40 degrees. We'll stay in the upper overnight, but we are right now 45. Probably holding there at maybe losing a degree or two or three as we go through the late morning and afternoon. Thunderstorm warnings go into effect at 1 a.m. tomorrow morning locally in GR. Go into effect at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, Kalamazoo to Battle Creek, and it will be earlier than that for northern portions of the viewing area. The upper level energy with this system out over New Mexico, that's where the upper low is. The actual surface low now moving into Oklahoma, and that will follow this cold front as the cold front marches off to the east, but only very slowly, and that's why we're not looking for temperatures to cool down until tomorrow morning, even though the sub-freezing air is just across Lake Michigan in Wisconsin and western Illinois. Some drizzle and mist around at the current time. And I do think as we work through the next several hours, we can continue to have that prospect. There may actually be a phase here this afternoon where we lose the drizzle, or at least go down to a very, very faint drizzle before the main area of moisture comes up from the south. This is the time code at 8 o'clock, the most recent run of the RPM model, still holding off the rain, so that's a possibility, more like 9, 10 o'clock. Some of the rain gets going and then starts to become heavy in the overnight. Here we are at 2:30, and notice it is yellow and orange, so this is an all rain for most of us, but the colder air, the shallow, low-level cold air will be diving southward. But here's an interesting component, an interesting wrinkle this morning, is that some of the heaviest moisture seems like there's an opportunity for that to scoot off to the east, and then we get into this cold enough air to produce freezing rain and sleet, but we lose the heaviest of the moisture, maybe backing down to just some spotty, lighter activity. We'll see about that. That's not set in stone. Lots of runs of the models have been keeping the heavier precip over us as it turns over to freezing rain and sleet. That's for a several-hour stretch where we may back down. But what looks to be a certainty is that the next round gets going later in the afternoon into the evening. So we're not going to get out of this completely unscathed, that's for sure. A significant weather event is on tap, but perhaps if we do back down the precipitation rates there tomorrow morning into the early afternoon, that would be a good thing before that second round comes in. And there is some chance that we could turn over to snow a little bit quicker than you might think, because the recent runs of the model is a little bit further south, so the depth of cold air is greater. We'll see about this. I think the map we drew up yesterday, Chief Meteorologist Kevin Craig, pretty accurate at this point. 2 to 4 inches of snow. Ultimately, that comes after somewhere on the order of a half of an inch of ice. It's going to be a mess tomorrow eventually, though I think the focus is probably more so later in the afternoon into the evening as opposed to the morning. It's the way it stands right now. Temperatures, though, rebounding into the 40s by Tuesday, Wednesday.